Welcome back. This is Gut Check Time. I'm your host, and today we'll be talking about college football week 6. But before I get into that, can you please hit that like button down below and please subscribe if you want more content like that in the future? Thank you. Okay, we're going to get into it now. For my gambling picks so far this year, I'm 21, 15, and 1. I've done pretty well. The last two times I made gambling picks, I skipped week 4 because I was sick. But week 3, I went 8 and 4. Week 5, I went 9 and 3. So that puts me at 17 and 7 over the last 2 weeks I've done gambling picks. That's a pretty good record. And 55 and 7 straight up. That's going to get probably a little bit worse. Hopefully not. Maybe I'm able to continue that. But there's going to be a lot more top 25 matchups happening now, so it'll be harder to choose those games. Okay, let's get into it with the game tonight. I'm taping this Friday night. This video should be out by the start of this game. It's UCF versus Cincinnati. UCF is favored by 3.5 points on the road. The over-under here is 60.5. I think UCF had their one loss. I'm not sure if they played Memphis this year. If they do, that could be another loss because I think Memphis and UCF are pretty similar. I think they're the two best group of 5 teams not named, and maybe Memphis is better than Boise State. I don't know. That'd actually be a very entertaining game. But these are definitely the 3 in contention are definitely UCF, Cincinnati, and Boise State. And I think UCF gets the win tonight at Cincinnati. I had a chance to go to this game, decided to watch my Yankees play instead. I think UCF wins this game 38-24, and I think that puts the total at 62 points. So I'm taking UCF minus 3.5 here, and I believe it goes over the total of 60.5 with 62 points, and take the over of 60.5. Next up is Tulane versus Army. I think a sneaky underrated game for this weekend. I think it's probably one of the top 4 games this weekend to watch. I think it's going to be very competitive, a very good game in the AAC. Tulane is getting 2.5, they're not getting. They're actually favored by 2.5 points on the road versus Army, which was very surprising to me. So Army's getting 2.5 points at home. That's pretty rare up in West Point for Army. The over/under here is 43.5. I think it goes over. I think Army actually wins this game. I think Army wins this game 24-21. But even if they don't win this game, I expect them to cover that 2.5 points. So I'm taking Army plus 2.5, and I'm taking the over of 43.5. Next up, we go to 2 teams that are very depressing at this point during the season because I thought they'd be better than they are right now. I had Miami at, I believe, 9 and 3, and I had Virginia Tech at either 9 and 3 or 10 and 2. I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong on Virginia Tech. I think I could probably still get Miami right. We'll have to see. Virginia Tech got embarrassed last week at home against a team in Duke that I think is probably only going to win 7 games. So that was bad. They got beat 45-10. I'm taking Virginia Tech, though. I think that's too many points. I don't think Miami's a great team. They barely beat Central Michigan. I believe the final score of that game was 17-6. So you beat a team by 11 that you were favored by like 30 points over, and Wisconsin beat that team 66-0. I'm taking Virginia Tech plus 14 here. I think Miami wins the game 30-24, and the over/under here is 48. So obviously, if I have it at 30-24, that puts it at 54 points. So I'm taking Virginia Tech plus 14 in the over of 46. Next up, we're going to have Iowa versus Michigan. And to me, this is a mulligan for Michigan. You pretty much just saw a more talented Iowa 2 weeks ago when you played Wisconsin. You got your ass handed to you. You need to show up here because if you don't show up, this is a critical point in the Harbaugh era. I believe if they do not win this game, he's gone. I don't know if he's going to leave or if he'll be fired. The thing is, if you lose to Iowa, you're not beating Penn State and you're not beating Ohio State. So that gives you 4 losses, and you're a toss-up with Michigan State. If you lose that game, you're at 5 losses. I think he either walks away or he gets fired. So I'm going to take Michigan to win. I think Harbaugh needs to buck up and pull out the old Harbaugh. The old Harbaugh that went for a 2-point conversion up by like 20 versus USC when he was at Stanford because he wanted to get to 50 points. The old Harbaugh that wouldn't shake hands with Jim Schwartz at midfield. I like that guy. I like the guy that spits in the face of other people and says, "What are you going to do to me?" He's not that guy anymore. Now he kisses the feet of Pope and brings his students over to visit the Pope. Guess what? Your job isn't a spiritual leader. Your job is to win football games. If you want to be a spiritual leader, guess what a good way to do that is? Win football games, get good graces, and then more people even want to come into your program, and you can bring them over to Rome and become a spiritual leader that way if you want to. But you need to win football games. That's what you were hired to do. That's what you should be doing. So I'm going to take Michigan to win this game. I think Michigan wins the game 24-20. I think it's a low-scoring game. The over/under here is 47.5, so obviously go under with 44 points. And Michigan minus 3.5, I'm taking it. So I'm taking, like I said, Michigan minus 3.5 and the under of 47. The next game is Auburn at Florida. Florida's getting 2.5 points here at home, which is pretty rare. I do think Auburn's a better football team. I don't think either of these teams are great. I think they're both overhyped, being ranked where they are. Auburn at 7, and I believe Florida's at 10 or 12. I'm not sure. I think they're at 10. Either way, neither of these teams are top 10 teams. I think they're both top 20 teams, but at the end of the year, I would probably guess Auburn is probably going to be in the 13 to 18 range, and Florida's probably going to be in the 18 to 22 range. I'm going to take Auburn in this game. I'm taking Auburn minus 3.5, and I'm taking the under here. The under here is 48.5, which seems like a lot for two elite defenses, and I'm taking the under on that. So I'm taking under 48.5 and Auburn minus 3.5, or Auburn minus 2.5. Sorry. And then the night game on Saturday, Michigan State versus Ohio State. I don't know why they're putting this game on late. I don't think it's going to be a very good game, and it probably won't be very entertaining for most of it. I could see Michigan State hanging around the first half, but I just feel like as time goes on, that defense will get worn out because their offense can't move the ball on Ohio State. So I'm taking Ohio State minus 20 here. I know that's a lot of points to lay, but I'm taking it. I'm taking Ohio State minus 20. I think the score is going to be 38-17 Ohio State, so 21 points. And the over-under here is 49. I'm taking the over. Guess what? If Ohio State does beat them bad and the offense can't get going for Michigan State, I think Ohio State's offense then will probably score 49 points. Do I at that point think Michigan State will put up 3? That's all you have to do to cover or go over for this game, and I think that would happen if Ohio State does end up just completely dominating this game like they did in the Nebraska game. I don't think they will. I think it'll be a lot closer because I think Michigan State's defense is a lot better than Nebraska's, and I think their offense is bad, but I don't know if it's bad enough to get totally shut out. And you never know, their defense could score a touchdown even. That's why I have it at 38-17 Ohio State. Now we're going to move on to the straight-up picks. Those are the gambling picks. And it's going to be Oklahoma State and Texas Tech to start it off. I expect Oklahoma State to run away pretty easily in this game. They're better all around. They have a better quarterback at this point since Alan Bowman's out for Texas Tech. They have a better running back in Chuba Hubbard, who's leading the FBS in rushing with 900-plus yards rushing, over 7 yards per carry. And then they have Tylan Wallace, in my opinion, the second best wide receiver in all of college football. So I expect Oklahoma State to win this game by 10-plus points. Next, we have Kent State versus Wisconsin. David versus Goliath. David's not winning this one. Goliath's going to win. Wisconsin's going to kill Kent State. Utah State versus LSU. I think this game is close in the first half because of the quarterback of Utah State, Jordan Love. He's a pro prospect. He probably will get drafted. I think it's a little bit closer in the first half, especially with LSU dealing with a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football, especially defensive line. So LSU's going to win, but it's a lot closer than people think. Purdue versus Penn State. Elijah Sindelar is out, starting quarterback. I believe Rondale Moore, one of the most electric player in college football, he's out, and really the only weapon for Purdue, and the only weapon that can even compare to any of the weapons Penn State has. So they're going to get killed. They'll lose by 3+ touchdowns. Oklahoma versus Kansas. Oklahoma can probably name their score in this game, and I think they will. They win this game by 4+ touchdowns. Bowling Green versus Notre Dame. Bowling Green's a bad football team, a very bad football team. They, I believe, lost to New Mexico, who is one of the worst 20 teams in all of college football, by 3+ touchdowns. They're going to lose Notre Dame by 5+ touchdowns. Texas versus West Virginia. This is a trap game for my Texas Longhorns. We play Oklahoma next week, and we're having to travel over 1,000 miles to Morgantown. And the thing about Morgantown is you can't get there in one flight. You got to fly to Pennsylvania, then drive down. So it's not a fun trip. And you also, like I said, you play Oklahoma next week. So this is a trap game. I think Texas wins, but I think it's closer than most people think. Georgia versus Tennessee. I think Georgia runs away with this. This hasn't been a rivalry since Peyton Manning left, pretty much, and T. Martin. So I expect Georgia to win this football game. Tulsa versus SMU. I'm taking SMU here. I don't think Tulsa has enough offense. I think their defense will be able to contain SMU for most of the game. But again, just like the Ohio State-Michigan State game, your defense is going to get tired if it's on the field all the time, no matter how great it is. So if your offense can't move the ball and you keep getting 3 and outs, eventually your defense is going to cave in and give up a lot of points. I think SMU wins, but it'll be a decent game for most of the game. California versus Oregon. Cal's on a backup quarterback. Their first string isn't very good anyways. I'm taking Oregon by 2+ touchdowns. Washington versus Stanford. Stanford's not very good this year. Washington is very good. I had them in the college football playoff going into the season. They still have a chance to get in there, and I think they run away uh, in Palo Alto. I think they run away in Palo Alto this weekend versus Stanford. And then Boise State and UNLV to wrap this thing up. Boise State's one of the three best group of five teams in my opinion. Like I said earlier in the video, it's between UCF, Boise State, and Memphis to me. And maybe Tulane and Army can settle the debate for fourth best, and maybe later in the year they can even prove to be the best. But right now, I'd probably put UCF, Boise State, and Memphis as the top three, and I think Boise State beats UNLV by 3+ touchdowns. I hope you enjoyed this video and the content that I brought you. Please hit that like button if you did, and if you want more content like this in the future, please subscribe button. Thank you.